Yes. Hello there. It's a nice day, snowy and cold here in Latvia. And I hear from Van that it's cold also in the UK. And I was talking also to some people from there. So I know it's cold also in that part of the world, which is not that far actually. What we wanted to talk about today. So first of all, maybe I will start with some introduction that why are we here? Why we are doing what we do. So I truly believe that everyone wants to be healthy and happy and to be loved and live a good life. So, and we all know that sometimes there are maybe obstacles, situations, life pathways, our experience from childhood that create our lives as they are. And we have to learn in some process. And sometimes learning is the best when we ask for advice to people that are educated in this and working with many people at the same stage where we are. So I'm happy to invite Van Patel, a bariatric dietitian. She's licensed and a certified bariatric dietitian working for, I would say 30 years or more already with patients after bariatric surgeries. And we really are happy to work with Van and to offer her services for you going through the bariatric surgery with Weight Loss Latvia. So today's topic is about liver reduction diet before the surgery. Again, why it is so important and why you should follow my advice and also Van's advice and the surgeon's advice and to lose a bit of weight before the surgery. So I'm giving the word to Van. Hi, Van. Happy to
Oh,
see
hi,
you.
Ilva, and thank you so much for inviting me. I feel that we don't do enough of these sessions, right? And it's always good to connect and always good to hear and listen to you Facebook members that are in Ilva's group. And we were just talking about weight loss surgery in the UK and in abroad, and I was just reminding Ilva about the fantastic service that she provides compared to any other company that I know of. And even in the UK, I really do feel that when you have surgery, and Ilva invited me over and she looked after me and she literally put me through the steps of what you go through. So I've stayed at the hotel that you will stay at. I have been in the theatres where you have been at. I have been in the consultation room with Dr. Oleg's. Ilva came and picked me up, and I didn't even know Ilva, but I turned up at the airport. She knew how I was, and it was such a warm welcome. And I think the lovely thing about Ilva and Weight Loss Latvia is you're not treated as a number, you are treated as an individual. Ilva is so empathetic, and she not only wants you to have the surgery there and to be looked after, she also wants to bring you into her world in Latvia and share the delights of the country, how things are done there. And it's like a little mini holiday. I have to say, I came back after meeting Ilva and Dr. Oleg's, and I felt so refreshed because she gave me a tour of Latvia, and it was absolutely amazing. So thank you, Ilva, for inviting me. And if anybody is in this group that is thinking of having surgery with Weight Loss Latvia and is a little bit on the fence, don't, honestly, because I don't get invited very often to come and visit companies abroad. And there's many reasons for that. I think, but Ilva invited me. I took her up on the opportunity and I saw everything. And what it did do is it reassured me that any patients that come from the UK or Ireland or anywhere in the world are in safe hands, and they really do care. And that brings me on to the pre-op diet and why Ilva will ask you and Dr. Oleg's, and if you speak to me before you have surgery, why you need to follow a pre-op diet. So Ilva, you would recommend it, right?
Absolutely. And the doctor actually even has like a table with body mass index up to 49, he would be happy that patient loses like at least a stone, up to 1.5 stone if the body mass index is higher. So the recommendation is to lose even more before the surgery. I also know that people are struggling, and I have heard also, if I could lose that, I would not need the surgery or something like this. But maybe you can tell a bit of your perspective. Or we can start with the surgical, what the doctor says always, why the person needs to do this liver reduction diet. It is called liver reduction diet because the main purpose is to shrink the liver, which is stiff and fatty, with the high body mass indexes and with lots of excess weight. So, and they need to put the liver up during the surgery to get the access to stomach and the bowels to do the surgery. And they need to have this environment in abdominal cavity flexible and easily reachable. So that's why it is important also that fat cell volume is reduced around inner organs. So technically it is easier to do the surgery to surgeons. And also, of course, it is safer for the patient so that there are less micro traumas unnecessary during the surgery, and also the recovery time is easier. Absolutely. These are the main reasons.
No, absolutely. And the liver reduction is, as you say, it is to reduce the size of the liver so the surgeon can go in and not necessarily make the surgery easier, but more safer for you, really, as a patient at the end of the day. And it also means that they have to pump less gas into the cavity, which again, for you as a patient is extremely important. So a lot of people, when they have surgery abroad or other places, will complain of gas pain and the discomfort. And, the more we shrink the liver, the less gas needs to be pumped into you to give the surgeon space to actually perform the surgery. So that is the whole point of the liver reduction diet. But it's also there as a bit of a test to see how well you can comply to a diet. Because when you've been struggling with your weight for so many years, and especially the higher the BMI, we know, as Ilva said, that your liver is going to be storing a lot of fat and a lot of sugar. And we need to offload that sugar and fat from the diet, from the liver, to ensure that it's softer, it's more flexible, and it shrinks. And that is the real point of doing the liver reduction diet. And the side effect is, and it's a positive side effect, you're going to lose weight. And, and that's always great because that's what you all want, right? You all want to lose weight. And so that's really important. There's a lot of different pre-op diets. And my favorite pre-op diet, because I feel it's easy to follow, is a combination of having protein shakes and one light meal in the evening. So it doesn't disrupt your family routine because, if you all sit at the table and you eat together, at least you're able to eat a meal. So that seems to be the easiest. And that's the advice, that's the one that I always tell people to follow if they can. So it might involve 2, possibly 3 protein shakes. Not meal replacements. You can use meal replacements if you want to, but I wouldn't have more than one. The difference between a meal replacement and a protein shake is that a protein shake will have very high in protein, about 18 to 20 grams, maybe even 25 grams, but it'll be very low carb and it's likely to be sugar-free. Now, a meal replacement will probably not have as much protein. It might be 12 to 15 grams of protein per drink, but it will have more carbs and more calories. So they may be around 250 calories, maybe even more, and they contain more sugar. So if you are going to have meal replacements, I would only say maybe a couple and then one light meal. But if you have protein shakes, you can have 2 or 3 protein shakes and a light meal. Now, the one pre-op diet that I see a lot of people following, but I always find that, gosh, if I had weight loss surgery, I wouldn't do that diet, is just having complete protein shakes or meal replacements. Because if you have to do a pre-op diet for 2 weeks and it's just liquid shakes, after your surgery, you're going to have to do 2 weeks of liquids. So that will be a month without eating food. And when you have your surgery and you're on the liquid phase of the diet for 2 weeks post-surgery, you can't eat food because we are protecting the stomach. We're allowing it to heal. The stomach will be very upset. if you do eat food. So I think if you do a liquid diet for so long before surgery, you're more likely to want to eat after the surgery. Would you agree, Ilva?
Absolutely. And what I can see also, I'm a member of a few bariatric surgery groups, that what we can see, those people who are recommended to have a complete liquid diet before the surgery, they're struggling, they're cheating, and there is no point of that. So I am always recommending actually to start not like 1 or 2 weeks before the surgery, but even 3 and 4 and even more weeks before the surgery, to change these, like to not to think about this diet like all the diets before the person has done, or they have tried everything, you know, all the keto, paleo, or whatever, slim world and Weight Watchers.
That's
and
right.
everything.
Yeah.
So not to make it another suffer, but to start gradually to think. Maybe you take off some snacks, some empty carbohydrates that you're having, snacking by the TV. Sometimes you don't understand how much, it's not a conscious eating. Maybe add some water intake, watch all these levels. Maybe add some walk in the evening instead of sitting at the table and having a big meal. So all these things you have to start thinking already a while before the surgery. And my understanding, I'm reading, learning all the time as well. Also, people, I want to maybe ask your opinion too about the hair loss after the surgery. I find it, as sooner the person starts preparing for the surgery, the less stress for the body the surgery itself is, and also this post-operation like dietary changes. These are less stressful than if you cut everything off like a week before the surgery.
And it's like knowledge is power, right, Ilva? And I think if you start focusing on getting the protein in, maybe even starting collagen. Now, collagen is like a protein sort of powder, but it's not complete, but it's very good for gut healing. It's good for your hair, it's good for your skin, and it's good for your nails. And it's something that I recommend to most of my clients after they have surgery, to help, one, get some extra protein in, but two, it helps heals, and there's lots of benefits. So that could be something that they could focus on pre-surgery. And look, hair loss is inevitable, but how much hair you're going to lose will depend on how well you are nourishing and fueling your body. So if you can focus on that pre-surgery, and then you get into a habit of having your protein shakes and making sure you're taking all your vitamins and minerals post-surgery, then you will find that your hair loss is less. But the stress of the surgery itself will automatically cause some hair loss. So let's say if I had to go for a surgery and it was nothing to do with weight loss surgery, let's say I had something wrong with my ovaries and I needed a procedure. Well, just the trauma from having that surgery will cause me some hair loss. I may not see it in the first month, but it will happen after, because that's the trauma that we have. And we can't stop that. There's nothing we can do about that, Ilva, unfortunately.
No,
what we can do is minimize the nutritional deficiencies, because we're in control of that. So that's where making sure that you're hitting your protein goals. And, we also need to think about that even though you're on a LRD, we have to still focus on fueling your body rather than completely restricting, which is what I think you were telling us before, that people go on really silly diets because they really want to shrink their livers really quickly, but then they're not able to stick to them. So, something simple like you may just decide that actually 6 weeks before your surgery, you're just going to shrink your plate from a large dinner plate to a medium dinner plate, which isn't what you're going to have after surgery, but that's one change. You might decide that actually I'm going to make sure every meal that I have has half a plate of protein, because I know that protein is going to help fuel my body. It's going to fuel my skin, my hair, and my nails. So the side effects post-surgery will be less. The other thing I always recommend is get into a routine with your vitamins and minerals before you have surgery too, because I find a lot of people really struggle with vitamins and minerals. And you know what? It's like another pill to take, another tablet. It's another routine that is added to your daily routine as it is. So it's a habit. But, there's little pill boxes that you get, keep them next to your kettle, or keep one in your handbag, just as a reminder, because you will need to take a lot of supplements after you have surgery. And when you have the surgery, the first 6 weeks, we recommend in the UK that everything is crushable, chewable, or liquid, because we don't want lots of big tablets. Now, sometimes small tablets are fine, but we don't want lots of big tablets sitting in your stomach, because sometimes they can make you feel quite sick and nauseous and sometimes irritate your gut. So just being aware of things like that can really make a difference. So what you do pre-surgery can help prepare you post-surgery. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, but there are also different opinions. Dr. Olex recommends starting vitamins and supplements 2 weeks after the surgery to let the stomach heal first without any like loads of chemicals. And from our experience, also that people are actually okay to take tablets straight after the surgery mostly. So it is like. But I always say if you feel it's easier for you, like with chewable or liquids or something, that you can absolutely do this. And also before the surgery, sometimes people ask whether they need to start the vitamins before the surgery. There's also some scientific now and like evidence results, or the surgeons in their congresses are talking that a few vitamins can. Like it was vitamin C, I think, if you overtake it, and something else that was like increasing the bleeding risks or something. So the Dr. Olex usually recommends maybe vitamin D, especially we are like in northern people, so we are always in lack, especially in winter, of vitamin D, and it is essential for healing as well after the surgery. So probably you need to watch this, and and if you have also, of course, other already vitamin deficiencies, or you're like hard to absorb iron, for example, often for ladies. So, of course, this is your daily habit. You have to take care about that already, but not to overload yourself with vitamins like 2 weeks before the surgery, and then like.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. I think it's just getting into a habit of taking your routine vitamins and minerals. And I'm the same as you. I say to a lot of my clients, for the first 2 weeks post-surgery, don't worry about your supplements, because the protein shakes that you will be taking will be loaded with vitamins and minerals. So I generally say when you start the puree diet, that's a good time to start your supplements, because that's when you'll be cutting back on the protein shakes and you'll be starting to introduce real food. Obviously, it's not that real when it's pureed, and I think sometimes people get really excited about going from liquids to having puree. Then they realize it's not that much different. It's just a thicker texture. So but definitely when you start the puree stage, you will need to start your supplements for sure. Definitely. I think another thing also to be mindful of is to ensure that when you are on your pre-op diet is that you are eating regularly, because what some people do is they may not eat all day, and then they will eat a large volume of food at one meal and snack a lot in the evening, and that has a hormonal effect on our bodies. And what we're finding is that actually, and this will go for not just pre-surgery but post-surgery, but by regulating your eating, you're getting a certain surge of energy coming into your body throughout the day. And when we start to skip meals, what happens is we get over hungry, then we overeat and we overindulge, and we want more snacks, we want more sugar. So make sure, if you are on a pre-op diet, or an LRD as we call it, is to make sure you are having at least 2 meals a day and maybe 2 snacks, or you have 3 small meals a day and possibly 1 snack, but it all has to be very low carb. So it's really important to make sure you're not starving yourself, because you've got to remember that surgery is a tool. So when you have this surgery, it is going to help control your portions. It's going to switch on your metabolism and make and improve the effectiveness of it. But what it's not going to do is it's not going to fix this. It's going to help. You might feel it in the first 3 months or so after surgery. The honeymoon phase makes you feel very good. It feels like, this is what I've wanted all my life when I've been struggling with my weight. But, one of the things that I really focus on, especially with my one-to-one clients, is that actually before you had surgery, what were your biggest problems? And one of the biggest problems that I see is that people don't eat very much during the day because they're too busy working, too busy looking after the children, too busy doing the housework. But then evening time comes and they have a very big meal, and then they sit in front of the sofa because that's their time to rest, and then we eat. And that then becomes a routine. It becomes our self-care. And then we believe we deserve it. But what's really more important is that you regulate your eating. So after you have surgery, you're not going to feel hungry. So you will need to remind yourself to eat, because otherwise, if you don't eat regularly, what will happen is you get over hungry. And when you get over hungry, you want to eat quickly, but you can't eat quickly with this surgery. So it's really important to start focusing on the habits. Just as Ilva said, your hydration, we go from a larger plate to a smaller plate, focusing on half of your plate being protein, but also focusing on habits, regulating your meals, eating slowly, eating mindfully. So we're not eating with our phones or in front of our computer, and this is something that I do in Beyond Bariatrics every week. I get everybody to send, if they want their food reviewing, they send pictures of their food. And something that I'm always interested in is not actually the food itself. I'm looking at what's going on around the food. So I get people sending me pictures and their keyboard is right next to their meal or their phone. And I'll say, oh, the food is really good. But what are you doing sitting at your desk having your meal? Are you working and eating? Because that gives me greater insight into what's really going on. Because when we're working and we're eating, our brain is focusing on the work. It's not focusing on our food. So, try and get into better habits. And you don't have to do it all at once, which is what, with all these New Year's resolutions, do everything all at once. And then you don't get around to doing anything. Just make one habit change at a time. And it might be that I'm going to make sure when I have my lunch, I sit at the table and I just focus on my meal. I'm not on my phone. I'm not watching the TV. I'm just sitting, eating my meal, maybe with a colleague or with family and friends, but I'm just focusing on my food. And I think that is one of the most difficult things that most people find, including me when I used to work in the NHS. But now I pencil out every day. There will be at least 45 minutes where I get a chance to have a break to cook my food and sit and eat it and not be working. Ilva, what do you like with your eating?
Absolutely the same. So I'm so many years into this. So I think also my habits have changed and improved. And thank God also my children are listening to me and they're watching their habits and quite consciously understanding the product values, what they put in, and what is a treat and what is a snack, and when it's good to have snack, and maybe sometimes I had snack yesterday already, maybe today it's better without a snack. And this is not about like excluding things from your dietary, like this it's not like a daily routines, but at all like in your from your diet. So but it is about this conscious understanding when you choose this and when you choose that. And I'm a eating lover. I love food. I love to cook. And I love to cook great variety of food. And I think I'm just happy born like this.
Ilva, if you ever have a problem with your weight, which I very much doubt you ever will, because you're doing all the right things you've got these healthy habits, then you would be perfect after surgery if you did have it. But these are the things that, we always focus on food so much that we think the problem is food. But actually, a lot of the problem is actually the habits that we have around food. The mindfulness and the mindless eating.
So I can only tell that I'm learning all the time too. So and I'm happy that I can understand and consciously control my habits. Of course, I'm gaining weight also. I'm having like overeating with my mom's at mom's birthday party or somewhere, moms love cooking and pushing you more than you want, and the sitting is longer than necessary. But and of course in Christmas time they're like visiting, people are all around, the family gatherings and everything. But then maybe we can slightly move to our next topic. The time is flying. About this like celebrations that I wanted to discuss, and I can feel also from people that are they were preparing for the surgeries and then there is Christmas time. So, and this is quite a big struggle for people because loads of chocolates are coming into house. Everyone is like sharing these like sweets and goods and stuff. And then these like Christmas parties, I understand in the UK, it's even more popular than here. Here, it's just these Christmas days when families are moving to see each other. But you have already all the December, this Christmas party,
Christmas, I think.
How to live, how to survive through this, and how to get back on to normal after all this.
You're right. You know, Christmas is really just one day, right? But I think the reason why there's huge celebrations is because it's the one time of the year when families in the UK can get together, and everybody has, especially like the school children, they have 2 weeks off. Some schools have 3 weeks off. And so parents will have that. People are off at the same time. So it does become a bit of a party. And also it's the one time in the year where companies will celebrate their successes and support their workers. So they take them out for nice parties and things. And so, of course, you know, you don't get much for free when you're working for somebody. So people have all these indulgences. So I think it's all about creating balance when we have these festive times of the year, and just being mindful that we are consistent with eating healthier foods, being active, hydration, you know, doing the exercise, and we do that consistently. So that allows us time to actually move out of that being consistent. So if we want to eat some cake, we can. If we want to go out and have a nice dinner, we can. And I think what happens is that most of the women that we work with, and men, before they have surgery, will have this dieting mindset of they're either on a strict diet and they're being very good and they're eating clean and they're not eating anything bad. And then what happens is they can do that for about a week, and then the weekend comes and it's like, oh, this is hard work. All I'm thinking about is the chocolate that I've cut out of my diet because I love it so much. So they say they're going to have a little bit, but because it tastes so good and they've not had it for 1 or 2 weeks, it can't stop. And then they just think, I'll just finish the whole box of chocolates. And then that's it, it's gone. And this cycle keeps carrying on. And the cycle can carry on after weight loss surgery if you don't sort of correct the habits in your head. So one of the things that you will need to do at any time of the year, all year round, and not just Christmas, is create balance so that you are being consistent most of the time with healthier foods, hydration, movement. So it becomes a routine, but then you intentionally give yourself the option to enjoy a meal out, have the cake, but don't do it alone. You know, if we say that we're going to have a slice of cake and we buy a whole cake and we come home with it and we say we're only going to have one slice, it won't. It will end up being the whole cake because there is no one else in the home if it's just you. And then we end up being secret eaters, right? So the best thing to do is, I always say that clear your home of anything that is indulgent. So if it's after Christmas now for everybody, and you've got lots of chocolates and crisps and biscuits and things lying around that you know are not going to be great for you, give them to a food charity. Tell your children to take them into school, give them as gifts. Yeah, you know, give them to a food bank, because there's going to be people out there that are going to need and want them more than you. And I know that you do want them. But if we clear our environment, it makes it safe. So, you know, if I had a bar of chocolate, or I had lots of chocolates on the table, and I went out to work and I came back and every day I saw the chocolates, you know, I'm going to eat one because it's there in front of my face. It's there. It becomes a habit. But if you take the chocolates away, you remove them from your environment and you put fruit there or vegetables, you'll come home and you will see that. And I know you're probably thinking, but fruit and vegetables don't look as good as the bar of chocolate. Yeah, you're right. But you know what will happen over the weeks and the months? Your brain will start to adapt to the fact that there is fruit there, there are vegetables there, there are better options. And then you will decide whether you want to have them or not. But because all we want is, when we get back from home, is we want that reward center in the brain to be triggered to make us feel better because we've had a hard day at work. So make your environment safe. So when I'm working with people on emotional eating and their habits, the first thing I always say is clear your environment, make it safe. Then have a look at what plate size you are eating off. I had a client that's just recently signed up with me. She actually had surgery in the UK and the support wasn't very good. And she wasn't even told to eat off a smaller plate. So she was eating off a normal dinner plate. So have a look at what you are eating of. So make sure if you've had weight loss surgery, it's a side plate. If you've not quite had weight loss surgery yet, make it a medium plate, because we eat with our eyes. If the plate is bigger, we want to put more food on there. The more food there is, might sabotage our weight loss. Okay, so eat from a smaller plate. The next thing is a lot of these tips we talked about pre-surgery for the LRD. Try and focus on half of your plate being protein, and then a good third, if not a quarter minimum, vegetables. But the smallest portion on your plate, about 20% of your plate, should be carbs. Now, sometimes you won't have carbs because you may struggle with them, especially after you have surgery. I always say the first 6 weeks, things like bread, rice, and pasta, maybe even the first couple of months, you might really struggle with them. But usually mashed potato or sweet potato is generally okay. So just be careful about the balance on your plate and just go back to the rules, the basics. And also try and eat slowly. So making sure that you're taking a small bite, you're chewing your food, and that you're spending 20 minutes on a meal, because that's how long it takes for the brain and the stomach to engage in that satisfied feeling. And just by doing a few of those things, that will really help. The other thing is, I think, is focus on the habits like hydration. I have to say, look, I have got my water bottle here. So I always have this with me, and I know I've got to get through this. But I go to the gym most mornings. And one of the reasons I go to the gym is so that I can drink. I've already drank one of these this morning in about 45 minutes. I drank a litre at the gym. So I know if I go to the gym, I am guaranteed going to have 1 litre of water, because it's a habit. For me, going to the gym isn't just about going to the gym. It's about getting my water in, because on the days I don't go to the gym, my water intake isn't as good. Then I always, when I'm at my desk, have another one of these to make sure that I get the next one down. So think about how can you incorporate fluid into your plan. Make it a routine. It could be that when you wake up in the morning, there's a glass of water next to your bed. You might put it in a flask to keep it cold, and that is what you will drink. And you might start off with that one habit, glass of water first thing in the morning. And the other thing is, everybody wants to start the gym. It's New Year. They want to start exercising. The gyms are busy. I know, end of January, I won't see those people again because it gets too much. Rather than thinking about the gym, if you don't enjoy the gym or you don't feel you're ready for it, how about just go for a 10-minute walk after your meals? Because what that does is it helps lower your blood sugars after you eat. When we lower our blood sugars, we get better fat loss. So there's lots of things, little things that you can do. But the thing is that you are wired that you want to do big things and you want to do everything because you're all or nothing. After surgery, you have to create balance and realize that actually it's about being consistent about 80% of the time. So 20% of the time, you don't have to be 100% on the rules. You don't have to be 100% eating well. And once you start to learn how to create that balance, that's where the beauty of the weight loss becomes consistent and it stays off. I'm just trying to think if I've got any other tips, but I think it's just about making these habits intentional. So I've come out with quite a few habits and changes, and I don't want you to do them all now. You need to start off with getting rid of all the chocolates and sweets in the house this week. If you have kids and you want them, then put them in the garage so you can't see them. Maybe that's what you're going to do this week. Maybe another easy tip is just use a smaller plate. Maybe that's what you're going to do for the next 2 weeks. And then, okay, that's become a bit of a habit. That's fine. I'm clearing out any junk food that's in the house every week when it comes in, and I'm keeping it out of my sight. Maybe you just do that for the next 2 weeks. And then the 3rd or 4th week, you might say, right, I'm just going to focus on hydration now. I'm ready. Don't try and do everything at once. One thing at a time, one change, one habit.
And absolutely agree. This is for all areas of life, actually. Also start one habit, and as it said, when you do 20 times this one new kind of habit, then it becomes a habit. And the best thing is also that the same way you can get rid of not that good habits of yours, so you can change them both ways. So you can implement good habits and you can get rid of old, not that good habits. So it works both ways the same. So you just have to consciously understand and make your decision and pay your attention to this one habit at a time, as you said.
Yeah.
Of course,
And
yes,
I think the reason why people that struggle with weight loss struggle to stick to a habit is because all of their life they've been on a diet where they've been on so low calories that they've lost weight really quickly. But then once they stop the low calorie diet, they put the weight on plus more very quickly. And they've been programmed that if you go on a diet or you make changes, you have quick results. But the reality is that if you want to lose the weight and keep it off, and this is even with surgery, which you will naturally get very quick results initially, but the results will slow down, and that is normal. People panic when their weight loss slows down or they hit a stall and they think, oh my gosh, what's going on? But it is actually very normal because your body is trying to work out what's going on and adapt. But because your brain is wired for instant results, quick fixes, quick weight loss, that when we come up with this, make one change at a time, you're like, oh no, I can't just do one thing. I've got to do it all. But trying to do it all becomes overwhelming. And then you go back to the old habits because that's what you're used to. So part of this journey about weight loss is acceptance of actually, I'm happy with this weight loss being slow because I know if it's coming off slower, it's going to stay off for longer. So it's rewiring this brain to accept that actually one change at a time is good for me rather than doing everything at once. Yeah.
So I think basically this is it, and maybe we can start to finish, and the day continues, and we have to do things as well. And I can see people are switching on and off all the time, and it's quite long, and it's a daytime, and people are at work, and so. But I believe everyone will watch in the evening later too. But I do not have any questions at the moment. But I think we have discussed really well about both like LRD and why it's needed and how to do it properly, and also about this festive seasons and how to create new habits and how to get off and how to do things mindfully and consciously.
And I think if any company or surgeon tells you that you don't need to do an LRD, run, because it's unsafe. So, you know, the fact that Ilva and Dr. Oleg's and myself are all saying you must follow or you get to follow an LRD is really important because it's for your safety. It really is, and for your recovery. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so on this note, I think we can finish. Thank you, Van, for being here today. I'm looking forward to have more. So we have loads of topics to talk, and I'm always encouraging people also asking what they want to hear. And so hope to see you soon again, and have a nice day, and thank you.
Yes, and you take care and enjoy, everybody. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.